Okay, hey guys, get ready with me while I explain what is going on. Yes. So I do not have my microphones with me. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been on here for quite a while, but I've been summoned back. Okay, y'all have summoned me back. And yeah, so I already started some of my routine, so we're just gonna jump into it. So we are just going to jump into it. As you guys may have known, we might possibly just a little bit might be in a little bit of a war. Okay, so I'm sure you guys have heard some of what's going on, and if you haven't, don't worry, I'll break it down for you in the simplest way that I possibly can, because I'm not the smartest either. Basically, last night on my way home from a family trip, I opened my Instagram app, as one does, and I see from Dean Withers, someone I follow, who I love, a special announcement about the US, us, here. Right. And it says something about war. So best believe I was tuned in. So immediately I had to let y'all know, y'all were concerned, rightfully so. I was too. Okay. So I'm going to give you the breakdown of the history from Israel and Iran back probably around the 1940s, and we'll start up around there, maybe 1950s-ish. I was doing this research last night. I was falling asleep, so I spelled some things wrong in my journal. It's my sister's journal, actually. That's how asleep I was. I just was trying to get it written down and there for you guys so I could update you guys, because I am getting questions left and right out the kazoo. Okay, so as you guys may already know, Trump last night had announced on his Truth Social app, which is an app he created. Of course, I lost my blush brush. I just have to use this one. Okay, sorry. So Trump announced that we have entered a military zone and a war zone in Iran by launching 3 attacks on 3 alleged nuclear bases in Iran. So we are obviously with Israel. Now, our alliance with Israel goes way back to when Israel actually first became an independent nation. We were the first country to recognize Israel as a nation, an independent nation, and this was around Truman's presidency. It actually took us only 11 minutes to recognize Israel as an independent diplomacy. So, you know, we were tight, and we still are tight. So thanks to this relationship, we have been strong alliances with Israel since day one. Okay, day one. So it goes all the way back. We go back. We go back. So that's important to know. Israel, the US, has always been alliances from day one. However, recently our relationship publicly has been strained since this war with Iran and Israel has started up. And there has been a lot of public pushback. You can see it in the media, the protests. You know, there's a lot of public pushback, especially from since Donald Trump has taken office. You can see it more. So, but let's go back to Israel and Iran, their relationship. We're not going to include the US. We're just going to go back and look at Israel and Iran's relationship real quick, okay? So Israel and Iran were not on bad terms. They were more of frenemies at the very beginning.
So obviously we have a bit of change of scenery.
Israel and Iran were even on bad terms in the very beginning. They were even frenemies, and they were secretly partnered. Secretly is very important. They were very secretly partnered. And they had a common enemy, threat, if you will, and that was Arab nationalism. And Egypt was their main threat target, and they both did not like Egypt for their own reasons, but it was just like, hey, you don't like my enemy? I don't like that enemy. Let's want to do something about that? So Israel and Iran, they did this secret partnership around, I heard around 1980, but I put a question mark because I'm not completely sure. Again, I was very tired last night. So they secretly partnered, and although Israel allowed they allowed Iran to hold some form of position, like government position in their capital, and this is called de facto recognition. Ooh, got a little accent there. Israel de facto recognized Iran. Oh, I'm sorry. setup is bad. So they de facto recognized Iran, which means they didn't completely recognize them as an independent state. However, they were mutual enough to recognize that they had some control, and they communicated with them as a independence. So the reason they didn't completely agree to it being a complete independence is to not offend Arab nations in their own population, which had some problems back and forth, Israel and Iran both. So they secretly, very important, secretly joined military and intelligence cooperations. So they shared interest in countering Arab nationalism, and that was a common enemy, which was Egypt. And they worked on an oil line actually together in 1960s, and they were 50-50 on this partnership, so they were pretty, good. And the reason they worked on this oil line was to bypass Egypt and control, and they worked closely through the 1960s to 1980s. As we can see, they were good friends around this point. Obviously not very public about it, for what I told you before, the nationalism, and it's public finding out. They didn't want that to become a problem, but they were working together. Iran gave Israel oil, Israel gave Iran military aid. That was kind of the trade deal going on. Okay, so we've changed scenery again, and I kind of forgot where we left off.
So I'm gonna say again, just a quick rundown. Israel and Iran were friends with benefits for a while, and Israel allowed Iran to join their capital as kind of an independent, and they were kind of recognizing them without disturbing the peace from Arab nationalism and the surrounding countries and other allies they had. So they were working together on an oil line from the 1960s to 1980s.
This is where the change begins. Iran has a revolution, 1979. Double check. Yes, so Iranian Revolution happened in 1979. This is the timeline where they begin to hate each other, Iran and Israel. Iran spread hostile comments towards the US and Israel as they had new leaders coming forward. It was a revolution, so a complete change, okay? So Israel kicked out diplomatic from their capital, and they stopped carrying the oil. In exchange, the military aid was not provided, or vice versa, whatever I said. Sorry, I'm confused. Iran still mistreated Jews, which obviously is a big problem because Israel, we all know, as a Jewish nation. They had 100,000 Jews in Iran. This went down dramatically to around 8 and 10,000, which, if you don't know, that is a huge dramatic drop. So mostly this is an ideological war, which is rare during these new 21st century, because there is not very much outside reason for the war other than its ideologies. So the Iran population is 9.5, while Israel is 88 million, although Israel's economic power can outrun Iran's. So, side note, Annie, we're going on a walk, and I'm going to give you some important side notes that I think you guys should know. So for number one, yes, we're turning around, that's embarrassing, whatever. For number one, one thing I think is important to note is Iran is only a fraction of the US. We are a much, much bigger nation, country, role in the world currently, and our population and size is incredibly larger than Iran. And sorry, I know you're gonna make fun of me for my pronunciations, and I know it keeps switching. So, but that is incredibly important to note during this time. Now, the other thing that is important is I keep seeing the word in the phrases and jokes, which some are hilarious and others are concerning, about World War III. Now, what you have to know about the term World War, the First World War was known as the Great War, until after the Second World War, and then we coined the term World War. However, the World War is typically a Western term, like most terms, and it's more of a view based on the U.S. and Western territories. So if the U.S. gets involved, or Europe, or other Western places get involved, then it could be considered a world war. However, is it necessarily an entire world war? No. So I think that's important to note as well. Let's say Iran is only a fraction of the U.S. and only has alleged nuclear warfare weapons. So this is an entirely alleged war with a nation that is not even half the size of the U.S. To put that in perspective, so far as of this morning, it is the 22nd of June. I heard somewhere 2 bombs and 86 fatalities. I have to look more into that and what sides, what took place, whatever. However, also be careful getting your news as we are struggling with facts as AI sources take over and fake news. There have even been leaders in our own government here in the US who have used AI as fake sources and sightings. Yes, it has been proven that they were fake sources and sightings and they were not real. It was ridiculous. So that's my side notes for you for right now. So thank you. Here's where the US gets involved, okay? US, Trump announces that we have struck 3 alleged nuclear Iran sites. We have something called P-2 bombers. B-2 bombers are specific bombs that realistically only the US has, and that's why Israel really needs our support, because these bombs, these B-2 bombers can get underground these alleged nuclear sites. So that's why Israel needs our help, like big time. Going back a little bit, Trump claims to be anti-war. A lot of people claim to have voted for him for his anti-war standpoint. However, in 6 months, he has threatened Panama, Canada, Denmark for Greenland, bombed Yemen, and now Iran. So thought I'd let that out there. Trump announced strikes on his niche-biased app, the Truth Social, which we all know why he created that app. The US population is majority against this war, and we fear our war with Iran, according to MSNBC. US is working with Israel. The leader of Israel praises Trump last night, June 21st, around 10:08 p.m. Iran still offered, this is important, Iran was still offering to negotiate before the attack from Trump last night. This is according to an MSNBC source. A lot of people are hoping that these attacks are just like threats that will, make Iran kind of like, whoa, and kind of stop. But Iran has already claimed and already stated that they are planning to attack us back. So this might involve a few attacks, counterattacks back and forth. And Israel has already been doing that with Iran. So now Israel's biggest ally, the US, is involved, but we have been involved. Even though we have been saying that we've been thinking about it, we have been involved. US President Donald Trump and the Israel leader have been meeting for a while now. And as I said before, our alliance goes back decades. So we knew we were going to be involved. It was just a matter of time. So, cheers. Why US and Israel is so close? This is a quote from President Nixon. It's a moral commitment because it is the only democracy in that area. Nixon. This relationship with Israel publicly has been recently strained. I already mentioned that from earlier. However, the US and Israel, close allies for decades. We have been close allies for decades despite the public pushback. In 2023, us in 2023 gave $80.9 billion to US military aid outside of the US, and that is the highest ever. This caused more public and democratic pushback. We withheld during Biden's administration around 30,000 bombs to Israel, which I wrote question mark, big signals. So US was the first country to recognize Israel, as I said before, as an independence. It only took 11 minutes. Why? Truman needed Jewish vote. Do not confuse that though. The Jewish population did not control the election, as they only made up around 2% of the US population. Truman needed support, and these are the 6 reasons why Truman was so quick to befriend Israel. Re-election, guilt, humanitarianism, Judeo-Christianism enthusiasm, which the uprising of Judaism and Christianism, ignorance, number 5, and number 6, idealism. So as the Cold War got worse, the USSR began to take over most of the Middle East. So President Kennedy, switching now, sent Israel US Hawk anti-aircraft missiles in support. And after that, further down, I wrote Israel lockdown. So in Israel's lockdown more recently. So this is what we know so far, and I will keep you updated. That was a very quick overrun, and yeah, I'm just putting that out for you guys because I'm getting a lot of questions, and this is what I know. Do I think Iran will come back? Yes, Iran has already said, quote, before we even went back, that they would make the US hell, that everyone pay in the USA. After the attack, Iran announced and said that, quote, Mr. Trump, you started it, we will end it. So yeah, guys, I will keep you guys updated. I do not have much sleep. I misspelled so many times Israel. I made it Israel instead of Israel. So excuse the quickness pace of this video. I will keep you guys updated. As of right now, I do not necessarily know what this means for the US completely. I will keep giving you guys sources. I will list a bunch of creators that I've watched to get this news and my sources. But yeah, I'm trying my best, guys. Again, people keep asking me what I think. I am just a teenage girl. I am in no obligation. I have no authority or I'm in no position to make accurate estimations on what is going to be going on after this. However, the military was fed lobster and steak for those who know what that means. So I will keep you guys updated and lots of love. So keep praying and stay safe.